Yo, what's up? We all miss me? Okay, well, I guess certain people didn't. But anyways, time to complain a bit. So, if you a Nick kid like me and just so happen to be autistic or have undiagnosed ADHD like your boy, your main two after-school homies were SpongeBob and what we're discussing today, the Fairly OddParents. Well, not the original show, but the sequel series. The sequel series, A New Wish. If you've been active online in the cartoon community as of lately, you probably have seen one or two clips of this new take on a beloved classic. Whether that's the return of the iconic Icky Vicky song, its main antagonist, Dev Dividum, or most likely...
Hey kid, I'm Pooh. Well, at least I was. I changed my name to Perry. Like Periwinkle.
The thrills of being a bisexual animation lover, I tell you. Point is, if you've heard of this show, you more than likely have heard it through people praising it to high heavens. And if you couldn't already tell, that's the side I'm on because New Wish is so freaking good, you guys. Now, of course, when talking about a remake of a beloved classic, especially post Teen Titans Go, if I have to hear one more thing about this show, find a hobby for God's sake. You're obviously going to have people adamantly against the idea. Something Ben 10, something Ninja Turtles, something probably Animaniacs, you get the picture. I will say, in this specific instance, I get it because not only was the adaptation before this one just every ounce of ass, but the original show had almost entirely stopped caring about really anything. This one specific screenshot should legally be enough justification to purchase a firearm. However, that leads us to this specific video. I don't think I've seen a video with takes this bad since Enter's Rise of the TMNT video. Holy shit, dude. But, like I did with other shows I defended in the past, I will be removing all biases I have towards A New Wish in order to critique the video appropriately. So let's stop wasting time and go over just about everything terrible about this video.
Yeah, smoke in the mirror like Swish Up. Broken my mirror, no fix up. I don't even think that I miss you. I don't even wanna get with you. Same old thing when you run your mouth. Don't believe your words are the ones that count.
Okay, maybe terrible might be overdoing it a bit. I mean, how bad could this video really be?
Mindless drivel plot lines, flashy art style, and an overt unfaithfulness to the source material.
Are you kidding me? I mean, I'll give you this, my dude. You were the fastest person I've seen to make a brain dead take about the animation of a show with really good animation. I said it for Rise of the TMNT, I said it for Moon Girl, and I'll say it again for New Wish. If you legitimately believe that this show visually looks bad, you are legally blind. The way this show effortlessly blends a new 3D look with the original show's 2D elements is so seamless, and the lighting, shading, lower frame rate, and color palettes all make this show the best looking Nicktoon since Rise of the TMNT. I'd even go as far as to say this is the best of Fairly OddParents has ever looked, because it has such a great understanding of what made the original show look as pleasing as it did and adapted it into a new plane. This is not flashy. This is not something that's quick and easy to do. This is hard. And calling it flashy is not only Japanese 101, but just an insult to the people who spend so much time working on perfecting how it looks. I'll take all around, my dude. And calling the show unfaithful to the original show is also insane to me. Did we watch the same show, brother? New Wish consistently has made what worked before in the original 10 times better. For example, Cosmo and Wanda are finally allowed to be a silly and fun couple again, or as they describe it,
We're two halves of a whole idiot.
Cosmo specifically is the best he's been since the pilot. He's still a little scatterbrained sometimes and has his moments of being an airhead, but it's balanced out a lot better because Cosmo and Wanda have these moments, and they're far more believable than, oh, I don't know, dunking their wands in acid, because that's what you do when you want to see how deep acid is inside a bear's stomach. God, the show really did stop being competent, didn't it? Now, this is the point where I gotta admit, this is a rather weird video to critique under the guise of A New Wish, because most of this video isn't actually critiquing A New Wish. In fact, he barely even talks about the show besides something we'll get into in a bit. If something seems slightly related to A New Wish before the big points, I'll try to address it in the best way I can, and provide examples from the series to back up my claims.
This Teen Titans Go syndrome has only gotten worse nowadays, because instead of just telling unfunny stories, modern reboots, especially in the animated realm, aim to purposely disrespect the original vision.
Like I said prior, New Wish is anything but disrespect the original vision of the franchise. For all intents and purposes, this is the Fairly OddParents. The only thing I can say that's drastically different from the original is the fact that A New Wish has a far less cynical tone to it. And honestly, I think that makes it better. The cynicism of the original show got to insufferable territory because it constantly over-relied on it to the point where it was basically a secondary joke. Plus, call me soft or whatever, but it's not fun watching a character characters suffer through no fault of their own and just being the world's punching bag. And I much prefer that shows that don't do this and either balance it out or just don't have this to begin with. New Wish feels so much less needlessly mean-spirited, and as someone who's basically grown up with incredibly mean shows in the past that have aged horrendously and have elements that are more or less triggers for my anxiety in the modern day, I love that New Wish has a much more positive vibe to it, and I can easily call it one of my personal comfort shows. Of course, it will never dethrone my number one, but it's so healing to me that to know that kids will get to grow up with a version of the show that doesn't have an entire episode telling the main character they mean nothing to everyone who loves. Seriously, who greenlists this episode? They my number one op right now.
Starting off with the fact that the original creators don't want this kind of stuff, almost ever. We've all heard of how Steven Hillenburg never really wanted a reboot of SpongeBob, but ever since his late passing, Nick has capitalized on two already.
Alright, I know I said I'd only focus on New Wish talking points, but I need to address this one part. I am so sick of people saying that Hillenburg didn't want spin-offs of SpongeBob when he never, at any point, explicitly said he did not want SpongeBob to have any spin-off content. He only said he didn't see one happening in the future, and this is all old news, and I feel like I'm back in 2019. Let me out! I'm not explaining further. You already know this, and if you don't, actually do the damn research instead of listening to some keyboard warrior stuck in 2015.
These modern reboots just go back to square one while ignoring all the story arcs that preceded them, with a cheap-looking animation style and much shallower characters. And they expect folks to be all on board and excited when they announce one.
Hey, dickhead, I'm gonna let you in on a secret, but you have to come in closer. Put your phone right up to your ear and have your volume all the way up, because I'm gonna have to tell you this really, really, really quietly. Got it? Okay, good. These reboots are not for you, dumbass! I do not care what you think about Teen Titans Go, Powerpuff Girls, Ben 10, Rise of the TMNT, Animaniacs, Thundercats, or whatever new interpretation of a beloved classic comes out. These shows, these movies, these whatever are not for you. They are for a new generation of kids that will probably love these shows just as much as you love the original versions of these shows back when you were a kid. And if they aren't 100% like the original show, who cares? They're not the original show. They're their own takes on these characters. These modern reboots scrap the story arcs of the original. No shit, Sherlock, they're not the original! And it pisses me off because it's quite honestly doesn't matter whether or not these reboots are objectively good or bad. People will dedicate so much of their energy into trying to get people to believe that they're abominations regardless, even to shows that fully do not deserve it. When you strip away petty arguments and conservative talking points or whatever, this is just these shows or movies or whatever the case may be, growing up and people being bitter that they didn't. That's what this has all been about. It's what it's always been about. Just a bunch of Cheeto breath, redneck, basement-dwelling keyboard warriors who are salty everybody but them has moved on with their damn lives. It's pathetic, it's annoying, and above all else, it's pointless. And this is not only a stupid-ass, brain-dead take on new adaptations of original characters or ideas, but it's one that can't even be applied to a New Wish. Here's something you should know about New Wish if you went from this at an angle that wasn't rooted in racism. It is a canonical sequel series to the original show. Not a reboot, not a spin-off, not a remake, a sequel. So to lump it in with reboots that completely scrap the arcs and themes of the original when it's directly connected to the original show, to the point where they directly make reference to events from the original and fully adapt parts of the original, makes absolutely no sense because what else is it supposed to do? Just pretend the original show never existed? Because if it did that, you would just complain even more that it's unfaithful. I absolutely hate these lose-lose scenarios that people set up for whatever they're critiquing. You don't like this show despite clearly not watching it, you wouldn't like it no matter what it does because it doesn't have your special white boy. Quit lying!
They'll often dish the grand arcs and storylines for a slice-of-life episodic show, bereft of any substance or long-term stakes.
Saying this with Rise of the TMNT on screen, a show with one of the coolest stories and showcases the world building in any modern cartoon, is such cap talk. Bro probably thinks Mutant Man have killed his family. Also, maybe, just maybe, they go for a different genre than the original because they're not the original. I'm gonna have a stroke.
You can't just say you're delivering something new for the current generation while abandoning the people who made your franchise what it is by watching all those years ago. Don't ruin our childhoods for your own creative laziness.
Sad. And now it's time for the part of the video you've all been waiting for, the race swapping aspect. Kill me.
I mean, no one wants to talk about it, but the current bandwagon is the whole race swapping thing that they love to do with animated characters. April O'Neil, Timmy Turner, Velma, etc.
April was black in comics, and as someone who's a pretty big TMNT fan, you'd think you know that. Velma, I genuinely couldn't give less of a shit about Scooby-Doo. I never was interested in anything Scooby-Doo related, so I have nothing to say here. Hazel is not Timmy. Hazel and Timmy are not related in any way, and the fact that you don't even refer to her by name throughout the entirety of this video, and only refer to her as a race and gender swap Timmy is genuinely so gross. You are actually vile.
When everything is racial, that's the only thing I can see when watching. I never saw Blade as a black character, or Cyborg, or Gerald as Static Shock. A lot of my favorite characters are people of various ethnicities and racial tone.
Ignoring the fact that most of these characters on screen are white, you are not subtle. Saying you don't see characters as black is wild, especially when their identity as black people is a direct influence in terms of their character. And if you don't see color on characters, then why are you even mad at characters getting quote-unquote race swapped in the first place? You don't see color, so their ethnicity shouldn't mean nothing to you, so why are you mad at an original black character taking the place of a different character who literally can't be a part of this new take on the same show?
The black female Timmy Turner is clearly just a cheap attempt to reboot this property without any other significant pitches for change.
Oh right, that's why, because then it would rain on your racism parade. This is especially disgusting because to call Hazel quote-unquote a black female Timmy Turner is to take away any sense of individuality this character might have, which is coincidentally some of the only authentic and healthy representation black children get besides Lunella from Moon Girl, Craig from Craig of the Creek, and maybe another show that I can't think of right now. Not only that, but you do it under the guise of just my opinion and using that as a gotcha to anyone who objects to this obviously bigoted standpoint. You are pathetic.
Maybe Butch Hartman wants Timmy to be race and gender swapped, which is why he has absolutely no direct involvement in the creative department of the project. I find that unlikely. It's absolutely insulting to ruin a person's original vision of a character just because people want to see themselves on screen.
Okay, now I know you're just speaking Japanese. Butch Hartman didn't want Timmy to be race swapped. Who gives a shit? It's Butch Hartman! If you genuinely come to me with a straight face and tell me this man's word is to be honored, I do not like you as a person. Never mind the autism thing, the OAX thing, the critique rhymes of weak thing, the Tracy Art thing, forget all of that. Butch Hartman is the reason your favorite show with your untouchable white boy was reduced to a pile of rubble. If he was in charge of New Wish, it would be on the same level of the final seasons of the original show, or possibly even worse. How do I know this? Because it already happened and you hated that too. So stop the cap, brother. You hate the show because it stars a black girl and nothing else. I honestly believe if you just said that, you would be less ridiculed than you lying your ass off and pretending you have a point when all you're doing is unironically playing Yapping Simulator Racist Edition. Then in comments you say it's just your opinion and that you just want to give your thoughts on a show you barely addressed through the course of your video, which is even more Japanese, and if you translate that to English, you get rent is due, bitch.
This absolutely also hinders the story and episode quality, as the main selling point here is the obvious element that's right in front of us, but no one's allowed to acknowledge it for some reason. I mean, watch a single episode of Rise, A New Wish, Patrick Star, or Camp Coral, and you'll see that.
And you don't elaborate on how they hinder the episode quality because you haven't watched this show and you haven't watched Rise, and I doubt you've watched the SpongeBob spin-offs. I think I'm done here. You don't need to see anymore just to get the clear picture on how disgusting this video is. It's genuinely on the same level as the Star Giant video for what actually might not be for obvious reasons.
I'm just gonna say it because I don't care anymore. I don't care about Black Lives Matter. And I have several reasons for that.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man? Get your ass on, boy.
Girl, shut your ass off and take this quick comment to go along with the biggest hour of your life. A.S.K is someone I knew years back and generally had a lot of respect for, despite not watching his content much because of the main theme of the channel. Just simply wasn't something I was into personally. Returning after years of not watching only to find this is what he's been up to, it hurts. A New Wish didn't tarnish the original show's legacy. The show already did it to itself, and you know this. You had nothing to say about the show, certainly nothing worth running your bigoted mouth, so keep it shut and stay away from black stories because you clearly don't care for them. You only talk about the show because your massive hate boner for the Ben 10 reboot didn't rake in the big bucks, so it's time to become a bigot for a video. Pipe down. Hope y'all like this new editing style I got. I want to eventually make some new stills to match how I currently dress when I'm not a slave to corporate America, so I hope to see you when that happens. Donate to the Patreon as well. It's gonna be popping up to my ADHD ass stops playing Pokemon Mystery Dungeon and watching anime all the time. Peace.